Hey guys, welcome back, it's Meg. Today we are going to be doing a 20 Fortified Court of Stars. We went ahead and used the DH cap on this solo mob. It's kind of a waste of time just because it is one mob, but you can drag it upstairs if you don't have a hard CC. My biggest gripe about this dungeon so far is the fact that the swirlies are very hard to see. Trees exist and they block your camera, and then the leaves on the ground can also hide mechanics like the charge smash, the quelling strike, and the worms blowing up. Since I have taken this footage though, the worms have received a new visual, as well as the last boss of court has also become a lot easier to see the mechanics, where historically they have been really faint and kind of opaque. We are headed down to our lust pool. I went ahead and dropped Phaline and just started spinning. I do have a Blood DK tank, which is great, so I don't have to do much to him, but I do have to look out for our other DPS. But we are a range heavy comp, so it's unlikely that they're going to be hit by frontals or anything like that, so I'm mainly just looking out for myself and the DH. Swirlies there is what I'm talking about. They are no longer that kind of pale pink, and they are now a much brighter blue with dark in the center, and it's kind of like a neon blue. It's very, very similar, and it may actually be exactly like the swirlies that you see on the trash packs in the ring in Azure Vault. So they're much easier to see now, which is great. We do end up body pulling the custodian behind us here, so we are going to pull that in. He takes one melee, but then I went ahead and cocooned him, and I will diffuse my debuff off from the cat. That does get reflected for damage, but the cats are very dangerous, so in higher keys we'll most likely end up pre-diffusing that if we expect that they're going to jump. I went ahead and cleared my Thundering early so I could run around and do the healer chores, such as doing the Flask of Solemn Night if you are an alchemist, as well as disabling all of the pylons. This boss is pretty simple, but if you are having issues with people not jumping and dispelling their stacks, you can TG your own. You will have it for every other Arcane Lockdown, and you will not receive any stacks if you pop it before the debuff goes out. You can also diffuse it, you can dispel one, Tiger's Lust one, and you can also use Revival, as well as Cocoon. So Cocoon won't dispel it, but it'll prevent them from taking the damage until they figure out that they need to jump, or that they will have the dispel back for them. We do end up losing the DH there to the Roomba, which is the purple line that comes out not from the boss but from the orb. We also have the Duskwatch with us. That is from failing to disable one of the pylons. We did this on purpose because it ensures a short roleplay at the end of the dungeon with the conversation between the two characters. I am clearing Thundering, and then my tank and the rest of my group are going to kill the construct as well as a different pack with some of the worms, and I am going to go ahead and run ahead to the roleplay to trigger the roleplay to open the door on the other side, and then I am going to die and we will pick it up from there. You don't have to die if you have Feign Death, if you have any type of Vanish or Shadow Meld or any type of combat drop, you can use that, and then you can just meet them on the other side without having to die. But because we don't have any of those things, it's more value for me to go and do this because they don't need me there to heal. The roleplay is done, so I'm just going to go ahead and die now, and then when I release, I will meet them at the res point. It's not required to line of sight the Enforcer or anything like that, but it is really helpful. It makes my life a lot easier, and it makes it so we can save defensives for things that actually require defensives. So unfortunately the Enforcer actually spawns on top of us here. We do need it for percent, but it was a little bit of a surprise. So we're going to readjust and use this corner to line of sight the Fell Detonation. You cannot line of sight the Scream of Pain, and then we end up just kind of trying to dance around Sanguine here. I use Moat to top people up from getting the Fell Detonation debuff, and then we're just going to do our best to line and avoid taking the damage from that. But if you get hit by the Scream as well as a Fell Detonation and you don't have a defensive or can't get behind the block, then you're probably going to end up dying, and unfortunately can't release because these are considered boss mobs and you're considered to be in boss combat. Almost every pull with an Enforcer in it is just going to be a fun little game of peekaboo. You can usually just drop your Phalanx out there and leave it. You'll lose a little bit of uptime on things like Ancient Teachings, but if you're aligning, there shouldn't be much damage going out anyway. This debuff does a little bit of an AoE around you when it gets dispelled. You can dispel one and then heal through the other, or use Cocoon or anything like that. Chi will take care of them as well, but you want to make sure that you are not dispelling a melee while they're standing on others, or ranged while they're standing on others. For this boss, it is important to angle your Phaline in the direction that you are going to be heading. People will usually either go clockwise or counterclockwise. That's kind of how the room is set up, and you're most likely not going to be pulling the pat in front of her, so it makes sense to just kind of move backwards in a circle. This way you have access to your Phaline, you can spin to win with Awakened Phaline for these imps, or you can do the Blackout Kick Tiger Palm combo and do a bit more healing, but only to 3 people, rather than the more maintenance healing that you get out of spinning Crane Kick during Chi-Ji and Awakened Phaline. This boss gets more difficult the longer that you are fighting her because her damage ramps with that burning intensity, so you want to make sure that at least towards the mid to end part of the boss you are getting your renewing mist out and making sure that they are getting extended, as well as catching up with the damage during the cleave while the imps are alive briefly, because DPS love to blow them up. For time's sake, I went ahead and just cut out the roleplay portion of this. We were just running around talking to people, and that's not very exciting to watch. So this mob has actually been changed since the Legion days. If you played in Season 4 of Shadowlands, this is much closer to a mix between the regular infiltrators and Zolgamox. There is no frontal, but there is a Hypnosis Bat as well as a Leech. So if you have a Mortal Strike in the group, like a Rogue with Wound Poison, or a Hunter with the Mortal Strike pet, it's a good place to use it. It also does the AoE Shadowbolt Volley, which I believe is old from Legion, but it does do quite a bit of damage. Because we made sure to leave one of the pylons up during the first boss, we have the shortened talking roleplay for these, so we don't have to sit around and wait for like 30 seconds, it's like 10 seconds instead. We're just going to go ahead and lust on pull, and I'm going to work on getting my renewing mists out. We have 2 range, so one of them is going to be baiting, and the other is going to stand in melee so that we don't accidentally get a bunch of stuff everywhere. This is also important to note that this boss has since been nerfed heavily since we did this key, so this damage going out on a Fortified 20, this is not even how much he's doing on a Tyrannical 20 anymore, so this boss has become somewhat of a joke on Fortified since this footage has been taken. So we're most likely not going to be lusting this boss in the future, and we will instead lust the second boss. Right here you can see the Piercing Gales. Those no longer look like that, and they are now a bright pink or purple, and they are much easier to see. On this boss, it is mostly about cycling defensives. Now there is a bit more of a healer check rather than a class or defensive check, which I like. The new version is much better. Our mage did have Ice Block here, but we were not in comm, so I was not able to call for it. I was kind of hoping that he would use it, but we do have B-reses available. That was also Darkness. You can see I still have all of my hots up. I also went ahead and zoomed away from one of the clones because the closer you are to them, the more damage they do. It is drop-off damage, so you don't want to be very close to them, and in that situation, I would have been in between 3 of them. We're just going to go ahead and finish off the boss here, trying to dodge the lines that are thankfully much easier to see, and that brings us to the end of our run. This is the overall healing. There is not a whole lot to do in this dungeon outside of this last boss, or during the trash if people are standing and stuff, so Ancient Teachings was obviously the highest, and when it comes to damage, I definitely could have done more AoE. I feel like I say that every dungeon, but I tend to play it safe with Rising Sun Kick to extend my Rising Miss and to proc Ancient Teachings. I hope that this video was helpful. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitch, Twitter, or Discord, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.